Well, hello, my dear audience. I am so glad that you're watching this episode today. I have a very special guest that's going to be talking with us about title insurance and what is customary in our area, the Northeast Florida market, for sellers to cover as well as buyers to cover. So I'm super excited to dive into this. If you're watching me on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. There should be a subscribe button there to your right and also a bell. Be sure to check out both so that way we can stay connected. And if you're watching me on Facebook, I'm so glad that you're doing so. I hope that this information is useful to you. But even if it's not something that is relevant or timely for you personally, I ask that you please share, because we all are connected with a lot of different people, and there might be someone in your sphere of influence who's actually going through this process who will find this information useful. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys sharing. I'm going to go ahead and bring in my guest. He is a dear friend of mine, Angel Rivera, someone that I highly trust. He actually has handled closings for me personally and has treated my clients with the utmost respect and really great quality. So I'm excited to bring him on. Give me just a sec. Welcome.
Hey, how are you, Angela? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Real pleasure for us. And as always, thank you. You are simply the best. I'm glad I could be a part of this.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a great way to bring the information to a lot of different people. I love video for the factor that it has the replay value. So I know even if someone's watching us now, they can share it. But even if they catch this later on in the replay, they can share it also. So it's a really great way of uniting all of us. And today's topic is it's exciting. It's exciting to me because it means that, you know, the closing is like the final line there in a real estate transaction. It's like when we get to celebrate, it's almost like having a wedding, right? You have all this preparation to that grand day. And then finally, when you have your closing, is when you get your blessing and off you go.
Yeah, it's something that I like to look at. It's a celebration, like you said, right? This is a happy day. This is a day where people get to fulfill a dream. For some of them, it's the first time that they've ever done that. For some of them, it's the last time they're doing it. But overall, it should be a joyous occasion. That's one of the prerequisites I have when I enter every closing, is to let them know, okay, if we can't have fun, then we need to step back outside, come back inside, and realize that we're fulfilling a dream here. And let's make this all about a memorable, pleasurable experience for them. So yeah, I'm with you on that. It is a celebration.
Probably that's why we get along so well, because we see it from the same perspective, right? We want to create the best experience for our buyers and sellers and join in on the celebration as we help them get there. So tell us a little bit about your company. You recently handled a closing for me. It went extremely well. Tell us about Florida Home Settlement Services.
So Florida Home Settlement Services is born out of a dream, right? From James Angelo, President CEO of Florida Home Realty and Mortgage, and Michael Borso, who has led companies across the country, nationally. And so they wanted to create an experience, an environment, right, where I think it's now up to like 1,900 agents that Florida Home Realty and Mortgage has, to be able to give them not just an in-house title company for the sake of accessibility, but an in-house partner, somebody that's going to treat their clients, our agents, our partner agents, our folks that are buying and selling a property, treat them with care, treat them with the utmost respect, like you mentioned before, but to be able to walk them through the process of transitioning, right? Someone's leaving a home and someone is going into a home. And part of that experience is, you know, we handle that nitty-gritty stuff behind the scenes, right? So we are established for the purpose of giving our Florida Home Realty and Mortgage agents the ability to have a trusted in-house partner that's going to take care of their deals and hold their clients' hands from beginning to end. That's how we came about. So it's just the brainchild of two very successful entrepreneurs, and James and Michael, and they have brought me on to oversee the process and the organizational progress of the company. And so part of that, though, is one of the prerequisites I had was I need to do some closings. Yeah. Because it's a reminder, right? All the grinding and chasing paperwork and overcoming obstacles. it's a reminder, right, of why we do what we do. I know that's why you do it.
Yes.
That satisfaction that we get from seeing a family or an individual go into a new home and seeing another family that says, "Hey, my time has come here, and I'm glad to pass it on." So yeah, that's how
Fabulous.
this company was born.
I love it. I love it. So I'm very connected with you guys in the sense that when I have my purchase agreements fully executed by both buyers and sellers, and I hand that over to the title company, and I consider you a valuable part of my team because it's definitely what the finish line. So can you give us some insight as to what happens once that file is received by the title company? I know you guys coordinate quite a bit with the lenders, with the associations, with the agents, the sellers, the buyers. Can you give us an insight as to what that process looks like once you actually receive the file?
Sure. So the main reason for this company is that we want to, as I said before, partner with our agents, but really create a concierge level service, right? When you go to your best hotels, you walk down, you speak to that person that gives you direction, right? Gives you an avenue to go, the things to see, the place to go. Where as a title company, as soon as we get that deal, which by the way, how simple is this? You email me a copy of the sales agreement. That's how you get the process started.
Yeah,
Off
that's
of
really
that,
good.
within 24 hours of receiving that email, and by the way, it's an email, it's orders@myfhss.com, and we'll put that in the comment. But when we receive that email, our entire company sees that is a new order, a new sales agreement that just landed. Within 24 hours, typically by the end of that day, one of our processors, Gisela Ponte, will reach out via email, introduce herself, say, "Hey, your file has been received." Once that file is received, we go right to work. We don't waste any time. It's immediate, right? We're going to be ordering everything we need. We order title search. We order the payoffs. We look into the HOA if that exists. We order title commitment. We look at municipal lien searches. We do all that stuff, right? That you, as a professional advisor to your real estate clients, clearly understands. But for your clients, they don't understand any of that,
Yeah.
right? So we do a lot of that, right? And we keep in front of them what we want to keep in front of them as far as, hey, everything's progressing. You have a contact person. You have questions. You're going to call me directly on my cell phone, not my office line. You got my cell phone number. We give our cell phones out to everybody. So that allows them to have a comfort level with knowing that, hey, okay, someone's helping me here, making the connection between the buyer and seller, the lender, and moving all of that into a direction to close for our final closing date. So
Fabulous. Once again, Angela, you said it was orders@myfhss.com.
Yeah, myfhss.com. So that's myfloridahomesettlementservices.com.
Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to have that scrolling through our banner here in just a minute. Okay,
Yep.
very good.
Yep,
There it is.
that's it. That's it.
Okay.
So
I want to put it out there because this could be extremely useful to people that are watching. It's a company that I use. Like I said, I've had a great experience with them. I appreciate you sharing the insight as to what you guys do once you get the file. One of the questions that I get often is who pays for what? And I want to kind of bring up that topic with the fair disclosure that this is market specific, okay? Certain things that are done in Northeast Florida might not be the way they're done in South Florida. Or even in other states, if you're watching me from California or New York or other places, these things are customary to every market and market specific. So the information that we're going to be covering would be specifically for the Northeast Florida market. I've also had a lot of sales with new construction, and that's also handled completely different when it comes to closing costs. We'll get into that in a new construction episode that I have coming out. But as it relates to resale, like the typical resale, I own a home as my primary residence, and I'm going to sell it to Jane Smith. What are the typical closing costs? Let's start off with the sellers. Since that's the recent one we've had together. What are some of the typical sellers' closing costs that they could expect when it comes time for that finish line, the handing of the keys?
Sure. So all of this that I'm going to tell you, we can easily submit and post, right? We'll give you the link. So I'm going to be going through some numbers. But in essence, in Florida, obviously the title insurance, unless it's designated in certain few counties in the state of Florida, is covered by the sellers. They choose the title company. It's not like that in every state, but it's like that in Florida. But there are 3 counties in Florida in which the buyer selects the title insurance company of choice. So what happens, being that the sellers are picking it, they're paying for it. Okay. So things like HOA stop us, right? If you have a condo or you live in a development that has an HOA, right? There are things like estoppel letters, and estoppel letters are simple. What we do is we reach out to the HOA to make sure that when the new owner starts their ownership, that they're not incurring any fees that were left behind by the old owners. So that's an example, right? That's a standard cost. That can be anywhere from $180 to $250, depending on the association. So many of these fees, a lot of people say, well, that title company does this set of fees and this title company has this set of fees. So let me shed some light on that. Many of the fees that are involved in title company is gathering all of this information, right? They're getting a certification of taxes. They're getting an estoppel. We're getting the numbers from the agents, right? What are the broker fees involved? Who's getting what at the closing? Surveys. Surveys are things that we do down here, right? A survey fee can be anywhere from $350, depending, but sometimes we can get an existing survey. If there was one already done, we could submit it for review and save some money along the way. So these are all different things that we do, but those are what we call pass-through. We don't go out and do the surveys ourselves, right? We don't go out and do the tax certification ourselves. We hire people to do that. We don't get the municipal lien searches, right? We just hire people to do that. So they send us a bill. We take that bill and put it right on your settlement sheet, and it's called a pass-through cost. As far as title insurance itself, we're going to get what's called title insurance, right? It's a binder. It's saying and guaranteeing to the buyers, to the new buyers, that this house is being, title on this house is being conveyed to them free of any liens or encumbrances. Meaning, when they get this house, they don't have to worry if the old owner was in a dispute and they had a roofing job done and that dispute wasn't settled. That roofing company can go put a lien on the property. If a bill wasn't paid for a municipality, they can put the lien on the property. All these things appear and they sound, and basically what happens is sometimes, all right, they might have been put on during the time that we're doing our process to close. So let's just say somebody knocks on their door, right, a month after they purchase. Hey, we were working on a house, and now you're the owner of the house, and you own it. You own that debt. They simply send it to the title insurance company. We then go through all the process to clear that up and protect our buyers. So even though we are hired by the seller, we are really intended to protect the buyer. So that's what title insurance is. Title insurance. A lot of people ask that question. Why do I need insurance? No, title insurance covers you from the day you purchase back.
That's
It doesn't cover forward. It covers back.
Yeah.
So that way it protects you, knowing that you can put your head down at night, rest easy, that nothing is going to sneak up on you. And if there does, it's simply a phone call. Give us a phone call, tell us what happened, and we go to bat for you.
That's fabulous. And I think that's where you bring your biggest value. Obviously, closing the transaction, physically being there to make sure that all the documents are executed and signed properly. It's huge. It's
Sure.
a very valuable thing. But the title insurance really is what, like you mentioned, is going to help that buyer sleep well at night, knowing that what they bought is granted to their name and their name only. There isn't going to have they're not going to have ever anyone come back and say, hey, I have actually ownership on the home that you just bought. And if that rare situation, I've closed hundreds of transactions, I've never had one come up. But if it did come up, then you have that safety blanket, that insurance that Angel is talking about, title insurance that's going to protect your title, your ownership rights from the point that you got it from the seller previously. Yep. So that's wonderful. That's really good to know. And that's typically paid for here in Northeast Florida by the seller.
That's correct. And I'll add this just as an extra notion, right? Title insurance is title insurance. It's regulated, it's mandated, right? Lenders won't do a transaction without it. So it's not that we have a choice in getting it, right? It's
Yeah.
more about, okay, is the company that I'm with, the company that was selected to represent me in title insurance, who are they and when do they really become a great company? And that often happens when things don't go right, right? That's when you want the partner. That's when you want the company that says, hey, all you need to do is give me that name and that phone number, and we're going to go get everything. Not the ones that said, hey, we closed it. Now it's a year. We don't know what's going on. We'll get back to you. No. It's about remembering who our client base is, who our partners are, and understanding that we're going to go to bat for them, right? Also, for title, there's something else that we look at now. We are progressive. We look at before the transaction happens, right? You get a listing, Angela, one of your great clients, right? And you say, hey, I need to just give this client an estimate of cost, right? We want to give them an idea of what this is. We are very progressive with creating net sheets. We have different ways and we can get it for you. Obviously, you know, Angela, if you send us address, the taxes, the property, we run it for you. We can always do that. But we have a tool right on the website, myfhss.com. So just the tag to the email. And in that website, you can actually go on, log on. There's a calculator. And that calculator asks you to punch in 4 or 5 pieces of information. And there is your net sheet for all of our agency partners that we have out there. So we try to take it from you being on my schedule, right? Because it can get a little crazy, right? To more you being in total control for yourself to be able to do these things on your own, provide them at will, have them at your fingertips whenever you want to go back and talk to your clients. So that's just another avenue of what we do. So it's not just being title. It's being a good advocate, right, for our agents, making sure that you, Angela, are prepared for success. Make sure that your clients come into this and walk out of this saying, wow, you know what? That was awesome, right? It was fun. And making sure that we save money, right? We save money. We compete. We compete like everybody else. And I promise you this, Andrew, don't tell anybody. But we do not lose we do not lose deals on fees. Okay. Make sure you block that out. I don't want my owner president saying, okay? So
no editing online. That's okay.
But yeah, so that it's going above and beyond just being just title.
Competitive. I love that. I'm also very competitive. I think the healthy competition is a good thing. You know, it keeps our markets sharp. It gives buyers and sellers choices. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's fabulous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one other thing that I've noticed while working with you guys is that you have very much of that concierge service. While I was going through my last transaction, I had someone from your office call me just to make sure that the process was going well, that if I needed anything, and it was just one call. There were several. Yeah. So I was truly impressed with the service, which is one of the things that I think you should look for when selecting a company to do the title for you. Back to title insurance real quick, and I don't want to get off track, but how you're able to provide that policy, you do a title search on the properties, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. So when we get that's part of us being able to, we go back anywhere 40, 60 years. We can go back further. We have some clients that want us to go way back, some lenders that want us to go way back, 90 years, whatever it is that they want, we have access to do that. And the reason why we do that is to make sure, again, that when our buyers who don't really understand the process, when they sit down and they sign that paperwork, they know that no one, whether it was the last owner or 2 owners or 3 owners ago, okay, or however many years ago that house was built, that there's nothing that's going to come up and sneak up on them to say, hey, there's a question as to the ownership of this house. It's going to be undeniable because we simply won't do it. If there's something wrong, and that goes back to being a partner, if there's something that we show up that doesn't seem right on that search history when we get it back, we're going to contact everybody involved in that. We're going to really get to talking to the sellers, really talk to the seller's agent. There might be that we need to go get clarification from the county. It might be that we have to call an attorney to figure out, okay, what happened here when you guys did this transaction 30 years ago? Mm-hmm. All of that is the back stuff that people don't realize the title. That's what goes into us being able to finally have you sign a piece of paper that says, you are getting this house free and clear of any liens or encumbrances. So yeah, so that's all the stuff. We have people, we don't really let them out of their booths, right? They sit there and they look down their computer and they're reading these things and they're reading everything, but they're awesome. Jamie Barton, she is the person that gets in our company. She, once the search comes back, it's her job to read all those details. It's her job to see the last deeds to make sure that they were filed correctly. It's her job to see the chain of title to make sure that, okay, not only the last owner, but the one before that and the one before that, that everything went smooth. So she puts her stamp of approval. When she feels comfortable, boom, but she doesn't put that stamp of approval loosely. She knows and understands that that customer depends on our due diligence. So once that happens, then it gets transferred over to Alex. Alex is the last person that sees the file before it goes out the door. She's the one that's sending out preliminary numbers, giving yourself and the buyer side or the seller side agents the numbers to review with their clients. If there's any discrepancies at that point, we catch them. So that way, when we show up at closing, my key is this: everybody should already know what they're going to see.
Yeah.
There should be no questions at that point. Some minor things here and there, but at that point, they should already see everything and know everything because we've done our job of presenting that information in a timely fashion.
Sure.
So that's part.
Yeah, and it's truly important to surround yourself with people that are experts in this field. My expertise carries my buyers and sellers from the very beginning of the transaction all the way to the closing table. In between, I have strategic partners and team members like you to make sure that all of those steps are properly cared for. So it definitely gives you guys a whole lot of assurance and safety around the purchase that you're doing. Especially, I was thinking about this the other day, most people buy and sell a home. I think the average is about every 5 to 7 years.
Correct.
Unless you're a military family, which we know they move more often than not, or you're probably a real estate investor who does this for a living. But the typical buyer and seller of their primary residence is only going to see this and hear this conversations maybe 5 to 7 years. And we all know time changes things. Maybe some things might have changed. Maybe a new way of doing things may have gotten better. So it's important to surround yourself with people that can help guide you through the process. And if you're listening to me, I would love to help you through this process. As you can see, I have all the right people in the right spots to help us get through it. So I appreciate you sharing that with us about sellers. Now let's talk a little bit about the buyers. What can they expect in terms of closing fees? What are some of the things that you see customary in our market? Again, customary in our market as buyers being something they pay for.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at our normal marketplace, right, we are also the people in charge of making sure, the title company is making sure that the county is paid, right? There's a certain number, for instance, if you paid your taxes from November 1st to October 31st, right? You paid your tax, but we close in August, right? There's a certain component that the borrower has to pay back, right? Basically, they are paying for monies that the sellers paid in advance. And it's only fair. So from today, we're closing today. From today to the next tax bill, we collect those funds from the buyer. Why? Because they're actually taking ownership today to the next tax period. Now, what we know is that most times the buyer already prepaid that. That's already paid. So that comes off as a cost, right, to the clients. Really, it is that they're taking ownership of that property, and from today forward, they pay for those taxes. Aside from that, we have some standard e-recording fees, things that we have to file the deed down at the county, right? The buyer pays for that. They want to pay for that because that ensures that their deed is going to be the one that's showing up at the county.
Yes, so those are
exactly. So that's a $90, whatever the different counties have, but $90 is about roughly what it costs to file those, right? We have some mail away. So the lender, if the buyer comes in with a lender, right, there might be a courier fee because the lender wants their documents back within 48 hours. So they want it signed and they want that thing overnighted. So that's a pass-through cost of what we do. There's a notary fee, right? So when I come, I do all that stamping, all that stuff, and people say, wow, you're having fun, you're doing, yeah, it is fun, but that is very important. That is what certifies to the lender that someone who is licensed and authorized to verify that my correct buyer is sitting here, and
Yeah.
that my correct seller is sitting at the table, and that is going from the correct seller to the correct buyer, and we verified them through driver's license or passports. That's a big responsibility. Again, it's one of those things that's so missed because you have 99% of the people out there honest. But we do have people that try to take advantage of the system. So it's a huge liability that lies on those people that sign off and stamp off on your paperwork. So that's a fee. There's a settlement charge, right? Because we're not only about, most people think, well, you show up here and you collect a $250 settlement charge, right? And that seems like high. Yes, but you don't know all of the other details that goes into that, right?
All the back
Preparing.
type of work that was done.
Preparing the Jamies of the world. We only let her out for lunch. We don't let her out. She sleeps in that booth. And then we have the Alexes. She's there. They're just so wired to know how to do this with excellence, right? Yeah. So part of that goes to pay for that work, right? One of the big things that we love about how we do our business is we have this phrase that we use. We close anywhere, anytime. People wonder about that, right? We're not necessarily stuck to an office where you have to drive to Jacksonville to our main quarters to do your closing there. We have multiple offices with Florida Home Realty and Mortgage, but I've done them at a McDonald's. I've done them at a Panera. I've done them at the listed property. I've done them where it's convenient to the buyers. It's wherever the agents, whenever they agree, obviously through conversations with their clients, wherever they agree to do their closing, if they give us advance notice, we will make it happen. We will be there. So that's what makes it really advantageous, because it truly is a concierge. We want to make it so it's just super convenient, easy for the people. But we also have these kind of situations, right? So we have a property in Jacksonville that is being sold by the owner who now lives in Tampa. But the buyer is is somebody who comes here, a snowbird, who comes from New York or New Jersey, and they come into. But for that particular day, that transaction happening, seller staying in Tampa, buyer staying in New York, and we have to do this closing. And so we are prepared to, because we have national networks of closers and notaries that we work with. So buyer, we're going to send at 2:00 on Thursday, we're going to send you a notary to your location of choice to come do your side of the documents. Seller, we're going to send at the same time or a slightly different time, because sellers always have to sign first. We're going to send a notary to your location. We're going to do that. And that's the trusted people that we expect to receive the paperwork back and to follow the instructions. So the house is in Jacksonville. Buyer never came, seller never came, but the transaction still went through smoothly. That's how we build.
Yes. Well, that's wonderful. What happened?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you now. Well, that's wonderful.
Angela, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Here, let me bring this back down, and then I'm going to bring you up to the stream again. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let me see.
Probably you had a call come in?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. So I don't.
Darn. Are you there?
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Not yet. Let me see. Let me play on my side here.
Okay. Your microphone.
So sorry, I can't hear.
No problem. We were just about to wrap it up, but let me try this. Angel, if you can still hear me, turn your microphone on. I think what may have happened is you had a call come in, and that call overdrove your audio. So it might be assigned to the call. We just need to free that up. If you could just play with your mic a little bit, your microphone, turn that off and on again. That should do it. One other thing that I wanted to mention as it relates to buyer's closing costs, a lot of the fees that are also included for closing as it relates to buyers are fees that are related to the mortgage that a buyer might be getting for the purpose of buying that home. So things like underwriter fees, loan origination fees, credit report fees. I see those typically included in the buyer's closing costs as it relates to buyers' expenses at closing. Okay, let me see if my friend, can you hear me now? Are you good?
I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, darn it. Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here with us today. I hope that this information is useful to you guys. Please stay in touch. If I could help you through the process of closing a transaction, most importantly, if you have a home to sell, you're going to need all of this expertise. You're going to need all of these partnerships to help you get through the finish line. And that's exactly what I specialize in doing. This is not a hobby for me. I make a living off of this. And I am eager to get to know you, find out about your situation, and help develop a strategy to help you get to the closing table successfully. So I appreciate you watching. Remember to also share this with anyone that could benefit from it. And until next time, remember to be kind to one another. Take care.